That's the last announcement. All right, real quick, let me have your attention. Today's the day you'll enjoy, even if you're not a U.S. history person or I didn't like history that well, you will today. I think the older you get, the more you'll appreciate this. I said in my first period class, so many times you study something and it's so abstract, you read about Vietnam and you don't know anything about it. Vietnam, it doesn't mean anything to us until it becomes personal. And we have two guys today who fought in the Vietnam War. They have some amazing stories to tell, amazing true things to tell you today. It'll be really interesting to you, I think, so please give them your total attention.
Usually when we do this thing, it's like an hour and 40 minutes, so I got that 20 minutes to do that. So you have to listen quick. This battle for Hill 875, I'm going to skip so much of it just to get up to where we actually the fight took place, just because there's so much to tell. But in this battle, I had two Congressional Medal of Honor winners who served with me. One was my machine gunner, another one was our chaplain, two great men. Our chaplain was a Catholic priest, Father Waters, and all the time I saw him in this battle, never carried a weapon, only did. And there was, I tell you what, you talk about fear, being afraid, being scared to death. There were a lot of guys that just couldn't handle it. And this guy just go around to talk to guys, to encourage them, to find out about what's going on at home. Whatever it took to get their minds off of that. My machine gunner was a 19-year-old kid from Puerto Rico. He was living in Brooklyn, New York. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today, or any of us that were on that hill. Well, the 800 of us that were up there, 11 guys, after 3 days, there were 11 guys that came off that hill that weren't either killed or wounded. I got shot 6 times in those 3 days. And I was one of the lucky ones. I can honestly tell you that. I really, really was. I saw things that... you hear these things that I'm going to tell you, and actually it is impossible. I mean, if someone was to come and tell me these things, you know, I'd have to, yeah, right, this guy, he was on something. But I honestly, I'll tell you, I wouldn't lie to any one of you. I don't have any reason to. I'll probably not see any of you ever again in the next 322 years. So I don't have to impress anyone. I don't have to make up stories. I just want to tell you what happened. But this place, it was right close to Cambodia and Laos, so there was a big area there where what they call the Ho Chi Minh Trail, where they brought in troops, they brought in equipment, supplies, ammunition, and they nicknamed it or called it the Ho Chi Minh Trail because that was leading to all the forces that they had down there. Well, our job was to try to disrupt the delivery, their supply lines. And so every once in a while they'd put us in an area where they knew that something was going on, and that we got elected to do this area. Our chaplain, Father Waters, he was a Catholic priest, and he walked with us, stayed with us the whole time, never carried a weapon, always trying to help you out, talk to you, encourage you, whatever he could do to make things a little easier on you. And that day, I remember he had set up a makeshift altar and was going to administer communion to anybody that wanted it. And I'll never forget. And I thought, oh, you know, this sounds, you know, there's an old expression. There's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole. You know, that's, if you think about it, that really, I mean, that's when you hear guys praying to God to get them through this, and you know, they'll never sin again. They're never going to do anything bad. Going to make up for all the bad things they've done in their life. And I heard this happen a lot of times, after every battle or before every battle. But at this point, I can remember we had two guys, it was two black guys. I don't know why, I remember the conversation where the one guy asked the other if he was going to do that communion thing. And the guy said, well, I don't know, man, it can't hurt. If you going to do it? And he says, well, I'm not a Catholic. He says, well, I don't think the Padre cares if you're Catholic or not. He says, and it can't hurt, so let's do it. And they did. They received, and I did too. Well, that's when the whole deal. After that, we started up the hill. At that point in time, I was assigned the rear security of this element that we were going up. 800 guys, a little over 800 guys. 3 days later, there were 11 guys that were either killed or wounded. In those 3 days, I got shot 6 times. And I can tell you, I never once felt never once felt any pain or discomfort from being shot. And I know that adrenaline can do a lot of things to you, for you. But I know adrenaline doesn't last that long. So for some reason, I just didn't. I never heard, the only discomfort I can honestly tell you I felt is when we ran out of water. And the thirst was just absolutely terrible. But as we're going up the hill, my job, I was a squad leader, so I had 11 guys in my squad. And they had assigned 4 extra guys because we had a big area to cover. So they gave me an extra machine gun and 2 extra ammo bearers and an extra rifleman. Set up my perimeter back there. And by the time our lead element had gotten into the ambush at the front of our column, we found out later that they had set up this just terrific ambush. I mean, it was just amazing what they had done had to take them years to set this up. We pulled back, called in an airstrike, and these bombers come in and just I don't know how anyone could have lived through these things. And the next day we're walking through, actually a few hours later we're walking on through. And as I'm walking, I don't know what it was, I just could see something in the greenery, in the shrubs, in the brush. And I remember one time I reached over and I took some off, and it was just like a jelly. And I was trying to figure out what it was. I was looking around, trying to figure out where this came from. And as I walked again, there was another spot, and I saw a leaf, and I pulled some more off, and I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden, on my hand drops something. And I look up, and what it was people. Where these bombs just completely vaporized, and all through this brush. That's what it was. And got to, I realized, it was nuts. And we went on, got through that. Finally, the second day, and at that time I was rear security, so all I had to do, and I thought usually that's the gravy job, because being the point man, you have to hack your way through the jungle, you have to know where you're going, you have to get there, you're going to be the first one to make contact. In rear security, you're just at the rear, you can set your guys up and make sure nobody's going to come up behind you until it's time for you to move. That's where I was at this day. As we were going up, this dog again led us right into an ambush, and I could have reached out. When these guys started shooting at me, I was closer than this whole 3-4 rows right here when they started shooting. And we pulled back, didn't touch me, never hit me. And how? I don't know. As I pulled back and they started open fire, we hit the ground, we're trying to pull back. And when that firefight was over, I looked around me, and there wasn't a square inch of leaf or bark or grass or anything that didn't have a hole in it. And I couldn't figure out how they could have possibly fired all this ammunition. And I think we had one person that was killed and 2 people that were wounded. Never touched me, and I was right in the middle of all that. And you had to kind of try to figure out what was going on, and it didn't. I never thought about an adrenaline rush and being under this, trying to kill someone, and just how it takes over your body to be able to miss someone 3 feet in front of you. And this went on forever. For me, we went on the next day. We finally got to Hill 875, and I got to get through this quick because we're losing time here.